Nelly Tuikong is the founder and director of Pauline Cosmetics, one of Kenya's leading makeup brands. Pauline Cosmetics designs, develops and manufactures great quality and affordable makeup products for African women. Before she embarked in the business world, she worked as a critical care nurse at Indiana University Hospital at the cardiac care unit, and she was fortunate enough to get a sponsorship to Indiana University School of Nursing, which at her time was one of the top 10 nursing programs in the US. Nelly grew up in rural Kenya, Kaptuno, Nandi County, the only girl in a family of 3. A farm girl who can milk the cows, go to the river, and make sure that all the farm animals are tucked in at night. Her mother was a nurse, and her dad was the town clerk of Kapsabet. One day, she met a couple that agreed to sponsor her to go to the US for nursing school. 14 years later today, Nelly is married to Peter, who she calls her partner in crime, and she's also the CEO of Pauline Cosmetics. What are the challenges that she faces as a woman in entrepreneurship? What are some of the tips that she can give you as an up-and-coming entrepreneur? Let's talk some more. It's time for Up Close and Personal.
Amazing to see people do such incredible things. It is, right? Yes, it is. All right, well, if you want to ask her any questions as well, the hashtag is K24Alpha. You get us on SMS 21222. Plus, you can also call in live in studio. Now, off the set, we have Sunshine Balagoon. I hope I said her name right. She is an amazing makeup artist. I'm going to try and not gawk out. So she's doing makeup on somebody. We're going to get a shot of them later on just to see them before, and then we're going to go and check on them much later to see exactly how it's going on, you know, once she has some progress done. So there she is. She's getting her makeup done. That is Sunshine. There we go. Sunshine, get out of the way. We want to see the makeup there. So there she is. That's our client of the morning. So we're going to get her makeup done. So far, they've only done a bit of the eyebrow. And then we're going to see her afterwards, and then you're going to see the progress. We're going to be using Pauline Cosmetics. But I thought her name was Pauline. It's actually Nelly. Yes. But you get that a lot, don't you?
I do.
Yeah. Well, welcome to the studio.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I want to know how a farm girl who only used to milk cows and, you know, just check on the farm things and animals, sorry, how you got from that to being a makeup entrepreneur. Like, how did that happen even?
Well, I will say I was not only a farm girl. Like, we had, you know, other things to do at home. But I think it was a combination of my childhood. I grew up in Kapsabet, which was like a semi-town-ish. And then we used to move back and forth because my mom was a nurse, and so she kept getting posted different places. And so one of the places she was posted is Kaptuma, which ended up being my home in Nandi County. They call it Aldai. And it's the village, it's rural life, it's what you do. Oh. You know, it's what you do.
So yeah. At that time is when now you started milking cows? Was it at that time when you started understanding how farm life works?
No, way before. Okay. So yeah, when I was much younger, we definitely had cows. We always had animals in our home. We always had dogs. At some point we had rabbits. We just, you know, it was a farm. So being the only girl, you know, it was sort of like kind of required of me to know how to do some of these things. So I was taught how to milk cows when I was very young, actually. But then we moved to the city Capsabit town, and then that was also a very different life. That was a city-ish life. So I think because of the dynamic of my, moving from rural to like town, that kind of dynamic kind of opened me up to so many other things beyond being in the farm. And I think, yeah, so I did milk cows.
Yeah. You have two brothers?
Yes.
Are you the firstborn? Are you the lastborn?
I am the secondborn. I'm the middle child.
Oh, middle child.
Yes.
They say that you guys are very spoiled. Is it true? Is it true?
I was not spoiled. I was expecting to be spoiled because I was the only girl.
Yeah.
But I was definitely not spoiled. My mother was actually particularly very hard on me. Very hard on me to the point where I used to resent my mother when I was younger. But now that I'm older, I understand why she was particularly hard on me, because she was trying to teach me that, the world is not just going to hand me things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to work for it.
Yeah. So I wasn't spoiled at all.
Yeah. Which you actually did, because your brothers had to go to school, and then you gave up that spot to go out and look for a job. Why? Why did you end up not just trying to get into college after high school?
I couldn't. So by that time, so we grew up in I would say a typical Kenyan middle class. And by the time I was about 10, things kind of changed very quickly. My dad lost his job, and so we went from having a nice house to a car in the family to like literally losing everything, which I think kind of affected me and my brothers a bit. So after high school, it was very clear that I really, even if I cried all I wanted, I was not going to be able to make things happen and force my parents to do what they could not, because my older brother was in college and my younger brother was in high school, and at that time we were only relying on my mom's income, which was a nursing income, which was very small, and I cannot believe we're still fighting about nurses' pay up to this point. This was like when I was, in high school. So I didn't know, I always felt like I was destined for more, but at that time, like, it just felt like I just hit the wall, and I needed to figure out what to do and move on. So I had to get a job. I had to, after high school, get a job.
So did you move out?
I moved out of home, yeah.
You went to LD?
I went to
Wasn't
LD.
that scary?
It was.
Young girl, always been at home, all of a sudden, all by myself.
It was. It was quite scary. But, it's not like I was in a strange land or a strange country. LD is still home. But again, I moved from, rural Kenya, rural home to like city life. And even though I grew up in Kapsabet, Eldoret is a much bigger city. But I don't know, I think various elements in my life have allowed me to adapt. I can move from being your farm girl. Like, I can literally go home this weekend, and normally my husband, when he's home, he cannot believe I'm the same person, because I completely, switch, and I'm this other person who can do exactly that, help my mom with the cows, and, get the fire going, and all that kind of stuff. So when I moved to Eldoret, I think part of like my early life where I had to, I think I went to 4 schools in primary school. So that kind of moving around and having to meet new people helped me transition into LD and a new environment.
Oh, yes, because you at this point so used to meeting new people and making new friends that you thought, it's going to be a walk in the park. Was it?
No.
It was. Oh, no, it wasn't at all?
It never is, because it's always a new set of circumstances, a new set of challenges and expectations. And this was even much more because, it's city life, there's temptations. There was like, clubs, and now I was away from my really stern and very harsh mother, so there was boys and all that kind of stuff. So if you,
so it was exciting. Is your mom hearing now for the first time how your life was turned up in LD?
But it wasn't really turned up, because then I didn't know how to interact with that kind of life, but I had to figure it out.
Yeah. All right. And then there's also your dad, who was a town clerk, meaning that both your parents were sort of disciplinarians. right? Ish.
No.
Oh, well, your dad wasn't strict at all?
Oh my God, my dad has never been strict.
No.
He's probably gonna hear this, but he knows. My mom was she was the dictator in the family.
Yeah, like
I am still scared of that woman to date.
Yeah, like she called you like, okay, I am coming.
Yeah, my dad used to just walk away from that, but he wasn't really a disciplinarian. But he was amazing.
Yeah.
In his own ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So even as you went to LD, did you know that you wanted to be a nurse?
So no, when I was going to LD, I think so at that time I was considering nursing. Because at some point my mom had opened an MCH, like a mother-child clinic, and she used to do deliveries. Okay. And so I used to help her with that. Okay. And I was really good in biology. So by that time I figured, maybe I can get into nursing. But I never really quite knew what I wanted to be. You know how some people know is like, oh, when I was 6 years old, I knew.
I know.
I never knew. Those were things, we never had those discussions with parents, never had those discussions in school. And
it was a disadvantage.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So even in high school, I think the only time we had to think about our career was in Form 2 when we had to fill some forms for uni and stuff like that.
And no one's talking to you at that time.
Nobody's
just
telling
fill
you.
out the form, we need it in like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So you're just like, okay,
exactly.
Who do I want to be?
And so somebody said they wanted to be a neurosurgeon. I was like, oh my God, that sounds really cool. What do they do? And I was like, yeah, I want to be that.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I want to be. And don't you envy those people? You're like, oh my God, they have their lives figured out. They just seem so much more organized than I am. Yes. And we have a lot of people who actually feel depressed about it. You finish school, you finish uni, and you're not happy with the units you did. You're not happy with the course that you've done. You finished college.
Yes.
You're not happy. You feel like you're a failure before you even start.
Yes.
And people need to know that it's not that easy to figure out what you want to do.
It's not. I mean, it's very few people who say, oh, when I was 6 and, I just knew my purpose since I was young.
Yes.
And I'm always like, who are you again?
What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? But then, so you started out in LD. What was it? What jobs did you get?
Oh my God.
Should I ask you what jobs you didn't do?
This is really up and close.
Yes, it is. It's called up close and personal. We get in there, Nelly. We get in there.
Oh gosh. I worked as a secretary at a college, and I can't even say I was working because I think I was getting paid like 50 bob a month.
Okay, come on, no, but like for real. Like,
yeah.
You were paid 50 bob?
Yeah.
50 shillings?
50 shillings.
A month?
Yes. Yeah. They would provide lunch. I mean, I was out of high school, so I figured, this could be just a good learning experience, but you'd be like broke as, but they would give me lunch, so that was cool, and I would just walk home, and my auntie's place was far from work, so I just walk in the morning, walk back in the evening. But as much as that was like that, it's sort of like everything fed into something else, like everything. There was this like natural momentum to things. So as much as looking back, it was not easy getting 50 bob a month, and you're leaving home early, coming home in the evening. My auntie's like, "What are you doing? You should be home helping me, and you're not bringing anything to the house."
Exactly, because that 50 bob, would you buy airtime? You can't even do your hair or your nails, so still your auntie's taking care of everything.
Everything, yeah.
So then you decided to, okay, I'm going to be a nurse now because of your mom, right?
Yes.
Okay. Then you tried to get into KMTC.
I did. I actually applied. So things kind of happened after the first job. Then I went to work in a shop. Now I was getting paid 3K. Okay. And then one thing led to another, and then I ended up working in the hospital. And so at that time, because I was around now more nurses, taking care of abandoned babies, and
taking care of abandoned babies?
Yes.
What hospital was that?
So I worked, there's a program called Empath in Elder. It's one of the biggest, initially it started as one of the biggest HIV treatments in sub-Saharan Africa,
yes.
But has gone to do way more cancer treatments, oncology, chronic diseases. So when it started, there was the HIV program led by Professor Mamlin, and so his wife started Sally Test Pediatric Center, which basically kind of helped sort of provide care for children who were residing in the hospital, because most of these women will come, leave the kids at home, and because they have more kids at home, they'll just leave the kids and go home. So we take care of the kids. Okay. So one of the portions of the program was taking in abandoned babies. So that's what I was doing. So being in that hospital environment, I was like, oh yeah, I think I really want to get into nursing. So I put in like 3 applications and got rejected.
All of them?
All of them.
But then one day your life changed when you met a couple. Tell us about it.
So yeah, so we were at the hospital, and most of the time, because it's an American program, we would have exchange, either doctors, exchange students, exchange nurses, whatever. And so most of them would come and volunteer in the Salitas Pediatric Center, taking care of abandoned kids, helping with, you know, crafts for the sick children, lesson plans and whatever. So at some point, there was a family that came, Dr. Liebman and his wife, Mrs. Liebman, Judy, and his daughter. And while Dr. Liebman, who was a surgeon, was a renal surgeon, while he was performing surgeries, Judy and her daughter, Samantha, would come to the Salitas Pediatric Center. And she kind of bonded with this baby who was maybe like 9 months old, had a skin problem, and she was really kind of always coming, checking on her. And over time, we kind of, you know, formed a relationship. One day they invited me for a trip to Kitale. And, you know, we were talking just like we would have conversations. And 2 weeks later, Judy pulls me aside and is like, what do you think about coming to America to study nursing? And I was like, what?
And like, I earned 50 bob. Why will 50 bob get me?
Yeah. I mean, you know, it was clear that they wanted to support me. But I just, again, it was one of those just surreal moments.
Just you alone, or did they like find other girls who were at the...
I mean, this particular family was just me. And now they're like family to me.
Oh my God. So that's how you ended up going?
That's how my, you know, my life just turned. Like literally they handed me a clean slate.
Oh wow. And that's how she has an American accent. For those of you wondering, you're like, okay, so she says she's from Nandi County when she says she milked cows. And yeah, so that's how she ended up getting her accent.
Yeah.
Oh, it changes?
The accent changes. Yeah. It's sort of like, it's triggered by people like you who also have accents.
I did.
So, and also...
But you know, going to a foreign country again is not the same as a foreign, you know, city within your country. How was that?
It was exciting. I mean...
Oh wait, what did your parents say? Your mom was okay with it?
Of
course.
Of course. Oh, okay. she's like, yeah, go.
Go now, when?
But she was excited. I mean, it was a break, not just for me, but a break for my whole family.
Yeah.
But yeah, so moving into America, I think since I was already around a lot of Americans by that time, it was, I can't even say it was easy, but I did adapt very fast.
Okay.
I remember getting into O'Hare Airport, and I had nightmares about getting lost in O'Hare Airport. So I had all these instructions. This is the first, it wasn't the first time flying, but it was the first time, of course, you know, being in America. And so, you know, I'd been given instructions, what you do when you get to London, you know, how to transit and exchange and all that kind of stuff. So I get to O'Hare and I get lost, and I'm in this like full attire, you know, African regalia print, like looking like an African queen,
like coming to America,
in boots and jacket, and it's in the summer.
She was able to guess. Oh my gosh!
So ended up, you know, figured it out, but that was the first time I saw that many white people in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was a huge culture shock.
Oh, what are some of the things that shocked you? Other than, of course, the many white people, but what else?
I remember trying to figure out, like, at the airport, I changed $20 into coins so that I could call them because I couldn't find them. And I went to some cafe or something to ask for change, and they gave me a bunch of coins, and I'm like, so what is what? Like, what do I use? And they're like, oh, it's the what did it say? It's the quarter. Use the quarter. I'm like, what is a quarter? Right?
I don't know. Yeah.
So, and I think the guy was just like, oh my God, this one. What was the most incredible? I think the biggest culture was like, it was just vast, right? I mean, here we share like quickly a 1 lane becomes like 5 lanes, right? Space. but there is like lands are just so vast. And then, you know, the roads are big. Everything is just big. You walk into the supermarket and you get dizzy. You know, it's like one aisle is just cereal. And I'm talking one line, like the whole building line, you know, it's just cereal. I remember they took me shoe shopping and I had a headache. I told them I need some painkillers. I have a headache. It's just too much.
Because of how many shoes you had to see through to get the shoe, and you're like, it's not this serious, it's fine. I just wanted something to slip.
It's just too much. But you know, you adapt and you know, you figure it out.
You figure it out. Yeah. And then you did nursing, ended up working at a uni, the same uni I think that you studied in Indiana, no?
Yeah, so it was a hospital like campus. It was a hospital campus. So we had like almost 5 hospitals within our campus. Yeah. And it was because the medical school is one of the biggest medical schools in the country, Indiana University School of Medicine. Yes. So yeah, I went to nursing school. But even actually within the first year, I was elected student governments within the first year. And that's, I think I attribute that to just being able to be in different dynamic places. You know, I was thrown into boarding school in Western Kenya, in Kakamega, and then I was I had to go live somewhere for a year away from my parents when I was like 8 years old. You know, so being thrown into those different dynamics, I was able to adapt. So yeah, got in. After a year, I applied to nursing school, which was very competitive. There was 3,000 applicants, and they were only taking 100. Yeah.
What?
So you had to have perfect GPA, perfect all around. You know, there were people who had 4.0 GPAs, but you couldn't get in because you had to be a very dynamic student. So it helped because I was a student leader. I was president of University College. I was just involved. I just got there and I was like, you know, I've been given a clean slate. Yeah. I'm going to make this count. So I was everywhere.
Doing everything, doing the most.
Yes.
But you made them proud. They must have been very happy. You still keep in touch?
They're my parents.
Oh,
and they're actually Jewish. So my husband always teases me that I'm a quarter Jewish or something because they're very traditional and they go through like the Shabbat, like Friday rituals and, you know, keep Shabbat and kosher and all that kind of stuff.
And at the end of the year, when people are celebrating Christmas, they celebrate Hanukkah.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So I remember the first year I was part of the kids, so I would get the 9 days of Hanukkah and I would get gifts for 9 days. Yeah. So I was like, I get Christmas and I get Hanukkah.
Oh, because they let you celebrate Christmas?
No. So my husband's family is Christian.
Okay.
But we'd been dating for a very long time. We've been together for 14 years. So at that time, you know, I would go to their home for Christmas, and my sister-in-laws, at that time we were not married, I'd just get spoiled with gifts all over the place.
So where did you meet your husband?
We actually met in Eldoret. It's a very long story. I don't know if you have time for all
like
this.
it's that long?
It is long, but we did meet in Eldoret, and it's so funny because when we first met, it was sort of like just, you know, I knew this guy was just here for a year, he's going to leave. Yeah. So it was not until like, I think the third, he kept renewing because it was supposed to be there for only 1 year. Then, I mean, he met, you know, a black Kalenjin girl and he was smitten.
Oh, he's American?
He's American.
Okay.
And he basically took another year, and then by the third year, is when now I met this other family. So sort of like everything kind of just worked out perfectly. Yeah. So by the time he was going to school, to grad school, going back to grad school, we left within 1 month of each other. It was almost perfect.
No!
And guess what?
I
went to school in his home state.
No!
Yeah. So I always say we were meant to be.
That's very true. I think that part, if anything else in your life doesn't make sense, I feel like that one bit, that one bit is incredible. Because you didn't know that you were going to meet these guys, and you didn't know that you were going to go. That's fantastic. No. So then how did makeup come up? I'm still trying to find...
How the makeup came. So the makeup, basically, I always had this entrepreneur, I think I always had the entrepreneurial bug in me. I baked cupcakes when I was in, again, you know, my life has not been that smooth, you know. I should be like on cocaine and stuff like it was so messed up. So in high school I had to bake cupcakes at that time we call it queen cakes, and dropped it in shops, and in the evening I would go collect, because my mom at some point had to leave and go work very far, so I had to take care of my brothers and my dad. So then later on I did open a shop after high school with my two. I was like, this 50 bob is just not going to cut it. So I kind of, you know, saw the gap in my hometown, where I used to see women sending matatus to the city to buy hair extensions, blah, blah. So I was like, you know, I've seen the opportunity here. Let me just bring a bunch of stuff, sell it, and slap on the charge for convenience. So that started. And then when we were in college, I used to have a hard time listening to some of the heart conditions, like heart murmurs and stuff like that. So we'll be in practicals, and the instructor's like, can you hear that? And I'm like, no. So, and you know, so I'd say, okay, let me practice on the computer. Maybe I could hear it more. And I just couldn't. So I figured, I told two of my friends, Fernanda and Mallory, I was like, what if we pre-recorded the sounds and inserted them into a stethoscope so you could hear them through the stethoscope? And I thought it was a fantastic idea. So we started researching. That did not go anywhere, really. And mostly because I quickly found out that there were such products in the market.
Already.
But they were so expensive. Then another time, as we were getting more clinical hours, you know, the hospital will have really overwhelming smells. And so the older nurses would tell us to use like alcohol swabs to kind of mask the smell, but alcohol is very drying. So I told them, why don't we make this strip? It would be like a clear mustache that would ooze. It would be like a plug-in for your nose, right? Then again, that did not go anyway. So one time I went to the mall, and there was a makeup being launched or something like that. And I kept thinking, another one? And I could not even find my own, you know, it was very hard to get.
Where was this though? Here in Nairobi? Or?
No, in the U.S.,
okay.
In Indianapolis. So I couldn't even find makeup that was good for me, but there was probably like 1,000 brands in the market. And I was like, another one? And at that time, actually, recession was starting to hit. And I was like, well, this must be a very good recession-proof, you know, business. And so when I came home, it actually just struck me. I was like, wait a minute, Kenya, African women, we like looking good. We take pride in how we look from hair to toe. But then there was the gap in the makeup industry, and it was just like a light bulb. It was like voila. And I really wanted to come home. So this was a perfect thing to bring home. And this was the idea that stuck. It did not go away like the other ones. Yeah. So that's how it started.
How many years did you stay in Indiana?
5 years.
Oh, 5 years.
Yeah.
And then you came back to
6
Kenya.
years, yes.
Okay, fine. So then now you came and did you launch it here, or did you start the research when you were?
I started the research when I was there. Actually,
okay.
I would test out on like glosses. I would try to, you know, research, and I got like how to make glosses, and I would just start making things in my kitchen, and it was a disaster.
Making things you make it yourself?
Yeah.
After researching the chemicals, you're like, okay, fine, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
And you mix them together, and then
it's disaster. I was like, there has to be a better way to do this. So I started researching more, and then there was a factory in Illinois, or close to Chicago, and they sent me a packet, and it was so expensive. It was like $5 for a lipstick, and that's just the production cost. We haven't even talked about the cost of, you know, shipping, and then, you know, customs and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, oh, it's going to cost about 1,000 shillings. That's just, you know, cost of goods. So that was not practical. So I had to figure out other ways to go about it.
Yeah. All right. If you're just watching the show right now, good morning. How are you doing? We're talking to Nelly Tuikong, who is the CEO of Pauline Cosmetics. We have some of them here on our table. And there's also a makeup artist called Sunshine Balagoon, who I feel like I have talked about more than I've talked about even Nelly. But anyway, so she's right over there on the other side of the studio getting makeup done. And I feel like she's transforming right before our eyes. It's incredible. It's really good. You look really beautiful, darling. There we go.
Actually, Eva. That's our manager. That's
Eva.
our sales and
Oh, Eva's your manager.
Yes. I was like, we need a model soon. So, can you be a model? Yeah.
Oh, and then she was, I mean, I don't think you asked her. You were like, listen, we're doing this. Come in the morning. We're going to go. But she's looking really nice. Yeah. She looks really good. So we're going to check in on her once she's done. And, you know, it's not easy getting into this business because there are giants already in the game. Mm-hmm. What did that scare you? Did that deter you in any way?
Yes and no. Initially, because it was a pretty, there was a huge gap. So initially, even 4 years ago, there was not, let's say 5 years ago, there wasn't that much going on. So basically, initially, I didn't feel like there was a lot of competition because I was also struggling getting makeup, and I was in a multi-consumer world.
Yeah.
So I figured, if I cannot get, I literally had to keep my foundation packet or like container so that I could easily go and say, I want this one.
Oh, yes.
And most of the time they didn't have it. Like they'll be like, oh, it's out of stock, because it's not like there was so many customers like me.
Yeah.
So I figured, if there's a struggle just even within the U.S. market to get products for African women, how much more of a struggle is it, and how much more of an opportunity there is here to do that. So initially it wasn't, but it was daunting. But I have to say it has been a humbling experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are like, it's one thing to make the product, which at this point it's not that, for me, it's not that complicated to make the product. The most complicated thing is keeping the business alive.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
So now it's been 3 years.
It's been 3 years.
Whew. Other times you wanted to be like, you know what, let's just close up shop. I can still do nursing. I still have time. Oh, you've had those moments?
I have thought about it.
What?
I have even talked to my husband and said, at any point, if you want to move back to the U.S., I'm game.
Let's go. Oh my goodness. Wait, you made him come back here?
Yes.
So what does he do now?
So we came back to work for Empath in Eldoret. So
Okay.
I also had to look for a job coming back.
Okay, okay.
So we both ended up getting jobs in Eldoret. But I knew, that was just like, sort of like get in, get settled, and then try to figure this out. He also got a job there. Then I had to move, I was traveling around, LD to Nairobi was getting expensive, and there's no way I was going to run the business from Eldoret. So at some point, I had to quit my job earlier than I really wanted to. And then moved to Nairobi and started working on this, which also took time because figuring out the business model. Makeup consumption was something that people were not used to. Let's 15 years ago, we couldn't have even color in our hair without being accosted on the street. You couldn't wear red lipstick without being called terrible names. So that has evolved. So I needed to do that here because this is our, this is the biggest city in the country. So at some point, he also wanted to break free and start his own thing. So he just started a telemedicine business. Funded by actually Silicon Valley and partly funded by some people here. And he moved to Nairobi with me. It's I keep making him move.
I know, but it's incredible to see that, it's always good to feel that support as well, whether or not it's happening coincidentally or by chance.
Yes.
It's always good to feel it. And, oh, there she is. I think now she's done. All right, fine. So we're going to get a shot of our client of the day. We're going to call her client of the day. So her name is Eva. She also works with Nelly at Pauline Cosmetics. Oh, and you named it after your mom, which is something that we should have talked about. So she named it after her mom, which I think is just amazing. All right, so now, Sunshine, what exactly did you do to her?
A very simple look that's appropriate for work. And I used this Pauline Cosmetic eyeshadow palette to create that. It has some very skin tones in it.
Yeah.
Then we topped it up with these two lipsticks. This is, I don't know on how, it's like a very soft mauvey kind of pink. And we finished up with the gloss.
Yeah. So how different is the makeup that you wear when you go to work vis-a-vis an event or a party?
Okay, if you're going out like for a drink or hanging out with your friends, of course you're going to go a bit heavier on makeup, bolder lip colors, glitter eyeshadow, and all whatnot. But for work, you don't want to distract your coworkers, with glitter on your eyelids or too big lashes and bright red lipsticks and all that. So makeup for work is softer. And more natural.
Yes. Okay. Now, you're Nigerian, yes?
Oh, yes.
Now, Nigerians are known to have one of the boldest eye eyebrows like they when it comes
yes.
to eyebrow, right? So
Yeah,
I'm not
I think,
lying. It's something that you guys have owned, and when I get Michelle does our makeup here, so every time I tell her, do it like Bella Niger.
Yes, yes.
Right?
We love colors, we like boldness, and eyebrows, of course, it always has to be on fleek. So even now when more natural eyebrows are sort of making a comeback, we're still sticking to, you know, like fleeky brows.
It still has to be thick.
Yes.
So if you could just check out her eyebrow, there we go. There is a shot of it. How exactly do you get that fine cut?
You try to go with the person's natural brow arc.
Yeah.
You need a brow pencil. This is the Pauline Cosmetics angled brush. You need a concealer, and you need a brow pencil. For her, I can't even find a pencil. Okay, this was the pencil I used. So basically, you need a brown pencil. Depending on your skin tone, it can be like light brown or it could be dark brown. So for her, I've used dark brown because I wasn't overly going to, what's it called? I wasn't going to overly make them stand out, but I still wanted them to, you know, be defined.
Yeah.
So with the angled brush, you can, after filling in the brows, of course, I should have left one undone, but of course, you fill in the brows. Then with the concealer and the angled brush, you sort of
Okay, so let's get a zoom
make it
in
more
on
defined.
that.
Yes.
All right, so not you, the camera.
Oh.
All right, so you go ahead and clean it up.
Okay, I'm just gonna clean it up some more.
That is so clean. I like it.
So mostly it's the concealer that does the work. It gets the job done. Whatever eyebrow pencil you use is fine, and the angled brush, that's it.
Ah, so that's all you need.
Yeah, that's all
All
you
right, thank you so much, darling. What is your Twitter, your Instagram at?
Sunshine Balogun.
All right, so there you go. If you want to follow her, or if you want to get some tips, some more tips, if you want to get your, you know, some classes, she also offers classes. I know that. Just go ahead and ask her right on Instagram. Now, your makeup line is doing incredibly well, and you have a campaign that you're. Tell us about it.
Oh, the lipstick campaign.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, it's so exciting. So basically, Pauline Cosmetics was inspired by my mom, Pauline, who is a strong, you know, bold, fearless, beautiful woman. In essence, not all moms, that's what they are. So Pauline Cosmetics, you know, became a celebration of not just my mother, but every woman. And then towards the end of the year, as we were trying to figure out how to really celebrate women, we figured, wait a minute, our lipsticks have names that are positive and powerful and beautiful that could go with characters of women, like powerful, positive characters. So let's say this lipstick is called Royal Diva. And it was almost subconsciously, I didn't even realize we were giving them these names. So we decided to give personalities to this lipsticks. So a bombshell, right? A bombshell is normally like almost like a sexual connotation, but we give it a positive twist. We say a bombshell is an explosive woman in everything that she does. Everything she does is go big or go home, and she does it with such class and elegance. So each lipstick has a personality, and we invited a couple of women to represent these different personalities. And actually, it's going to roll, actually, Couture magazine, Olive, who was also part of the personalities, loved the campaign and said, why don't we feature it on the magazine? So this April issue, we're going to have an 8-page spread of just this fabulous women with their personalities, bold, fierce, just fabulous women with personalities. And we're going to try and carry it on because, again, with makeup, you know, for me, it's not just about making lipsticks. It's about how I engage with our African audience and our Kenyan audience, because that is my target market, and I am my target audience because I am Kenyan. So, unlike international brands that just come and product dump here, I try to go out more and just really engage with the audience. So I think this will be a very good way to engage with the audience in a much more positive way, because when we do wear makeup, like Joy, I know you call her Sunshine, but she's called Joy. No. When we do wear makeup, it's with intent, right? Like, for example, that's an office look. It's much more softer. Everything has a message, even to the lipstick that you wear. If you remember during Hillary's campaign last year, everything that she wore had
Oh yes, a message. I only remember the
message.
one where she wore white, and it was, I think, at the final debate.
Yes.
And it was like, oh yeah, she wore white because it meant this, and I was like, what? I thought she just picked it out and she wore that.
No,
but okay.
Everything was calculated for polls. And could you remember what kind of lipstick she predominantly wore? What color?
I don't know because I wasn't concentrating on that.
You're on TV.
No.
Anyway, so she wore red.
How is me being on TV have anything to do with me noticing people's lipsticks?
Because you're around like talks about politics and elections and all that kind of
well,
stuff.
but no one talks about lipsticks. Like here in Kenya, we talk about the change that you're coming to bring to our country. What you're going to make, what difference is it going to make in our society. The lipstick you wear has nothing to do with what you're going to do.
Well, I'm yet to see
I think
some
maybe
of that
in America,
change.
oh, I don't know. I feel like if Charity Ngilu wore red, no one would vote for her based
Yeah, I mean,
on her red
it's a
lipstick,
different,
so.
yeah, it's a
doesn't
different
make
world,
any
right?
difference
It's a different world. But there, because everything has an undertone. Everything has sort of like red signifies, let's say, power, right?
Yes.
Pink signifies you're much, you're softer female or something like that. So neutral, kind of is like, I'm not trying to stand out as much. So everything that women wear in the morning, sometimes you wear it based on attitude, sort of like what kind of attitude do you want to possess. So yeah, so the campaign basically sort of tries to kind of engage with women beyond just, hey, I'm buying a red lipstick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming this morning, Pauline. We do appreciate it. Pauline, Nelly.
It's okay.
We do appreciate
I
it.
would say-
So I will wait for my,
Package.
my package. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
you have to get this. This
I'm gonna
brush
wait for
is
that.
like the bomb.
Yeah, thebomb.com.
thebomb.com.
All right, I will wait for that. Thank you so much. And I understand that somebody on Twitter is asking for Eva's handle on Twitter. Hey!
Eva's handle.
Sasa Eva, we have sold you. That's what we have done. All right, time now to branch over for Interactive. Ian Ofula is standing by to give us the latest on what exactly is trending. Some of the things that you are seeing on social media, whether it's on Facebook, whether it's on Twitter or Instagram. And I haven't even forgotten, I've just forgotten, I didn't even give your handle. So what are your handles?
So we are at Pauline Cosmetics Kenya on Instagram. And then Pauline Cosmetics Kenya on Facebook, and
Yes.
Pauline Cosmetic on Twitter, and I'm Nelly Tuikong _Park, which is my husband's name.
All right. And then for those people who do want to join in a field and it's a tad bit scary, what do you want to tell them? If you want to like start a watch line, you know what I mean? If you want to start like a hairline, like there are big leagues. What would you tell them?
I would say start small, understand the markets, try to talk to people, see what's out there, understand consumer habits around watches. What do Kenyans wear watches? What kind of watches? So do your research, but get in there. We are an emerging market, and so the international market is pouring into our market to try and take out chunks of the dominant the market. But we can do it. Why not us? We keep like taking people outside for hospital treatments. Why can't we build our own super hospitals? Why can't we make our own watches? Why can't we make our own makeup? We are our own target market. So we got to do it ourselves.
All right.
Yes.
Okay, there you go. Nelly Tuikong, everybody. From Pauline Cosmetics, founder and CEO. When I say from, she doesn't work there. She owns the goddamn place. Time now for Interactive. Ian, what is happening?